Hi, everyone. Welcome to Flock Talk. I'm Erin Morgan.
And I'm Jordan Sloggett.
And we work for the farmer members of the Ontario Sheep Farmers Organization.
This week, we are discussing the Master Shepherd's course with Anita O'Brien, Ontario Sheep Farmers On-Farm Programs Lead.
Welcome, Anita. Thanks for joining us on Flock Talk.
Anita, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What did you do before you joined us at OSF?
Well, I'm not going to go back and, read you an entire CV, but I spent 27 years working as a sheep and goat specialist with the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs. As well as that, I also run a sheep farm here in Eastern Ontario. And in its heyday, we had 650 ewes lambing, and it's primarily a pasture-based lambing flocks. We only lamb once a year. 2013, I left the ministry and farmed full-time. And lo and behold, a couple of years after leaving, I really missed that ag extension part of the job that I had with the ministry. And so I reached out to OSF and said, hey, do you guys need someone to do a little bit of work for you? So yeah, I took on a part-time contract with OSF and also the job of coordinating the Master Shepherd's course.
Yeah, little did you know that little bit of time would turn into a whole lot of time, but we appreciate you so much. So can you give us an overview of the Master Shepherd's course and what inspired its creation?
Yeah, sure. So the current Master Shepherd's course is 12 modules. It covers all aspects of sheep production and management. 11 of those modules are now held virtually. We use Zoom as our platform. And as well as those 11 virtual modules, we have an in-person 2-day business planning module. And we sort of wrap up or culminate the course in a 2-day farm tour. And the purpose of that farm tour is to highlight and reinforce many of the key teachings that we are trying to achieve throughout the entire online modules. In terms of what inspired its creation, a little bit of history. In the 1990s, there was a sheep research project that was joint between University of Guelph, Ontario Sheep, at that time, Ontario Sheep Marketing Agency, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs. And that research project's purpose was to improve and increase lamb production in Ontario. I'm not going to talk about all of the sort of the spin-off projects that were part of that, the overall one, but one of those was an education component. And at that time, it was called the Master Shepherd's course. It was held in person. It was held at the University of Guelph I believe every 6 or 8 weeks. I can't remember now. And I don't know if it was 12 modules. It certainly was at least 9 or 10. And they were 2-day modules. There was a core group of students that were enrolled in it, and the same as now, as you submitted an application for the full course. And the only day that was open for, I'm going to say, the general sheep farmer public was day one, so the classroom type component of the course. The second day, which was practical, a lot of times lab work, and that sort of thing, was restricted only to the core group of students. So that was back in the 1990s, early 2000s. And I should mention that, even to this day, a number of the, I guess we'd have to say, older shepherds now were students of that original course. So it got talked about quite a lot over the years, and reminiscing and commenting that it's too bad we couldn't run it again. So I believe it was 2013, Ontario Sheep committed to running the course again. It ran, I'm going to call it the most current iteration, ran in 2014 and 2015. Edie Steele was the coordinator of that course. Again, it was held in person, each module being 2 days. So mostly classroom the first day, but certainly on the second day, at least 2 farm tours. There was also an evening session when it was held in person. And that evening session was meant to be a more casual question and answer, picking people's brains and the speakers and guests' brains on different aspects of the sheep industry. So that was 2014, 2015. Ontario Sheep actually won a Premier's Award, the Agri-Food Innovation and Excellence Award in 2015 for the Master Shepherd's course being, I'm going to call it, reinvented. As we move closer to current, the course has been offered again in 2018, 2020, and 2022. And our next offering, of course, is September of this year, 2024. And I'm just going to end that with saying that the 12 modules run now over roughly 18-month period. So it is a bit of a time commitment for sheep producers to take the course.
Mm-hmm. Anita, could you speak to some of the key benefits that sheep farmers could expect to receive from taking the Master Shepherd's course?
Key benefits. I think overall, one of the biggest benefits is the grounding in the knowledge for the various aspects of sheep production, from things like, getting a better understanding of reproductive management, a better understanding of overall flock nutrition, not just following a recipe because someone told me to do it this way. And that, it covers all of the aspects of sheep production. So that is one of the benefits. The other is that, as a cohort of full-time students going through this course, even though most of it is online, you become peers, and a lot of them make connections and maintain those connections through their forward years in the sheep industry. That was really apparent when the course was all in person. And of course, we all recognize that there are challenges when we move to an online platform. But the reality of it is that there are still opportunities to make those connections because of being in the course together as a group, even though it is the majority of it is online.
So, Anita, we know that there's an investment to taking the course. There's a fee that's involved. But there must be a return on that fee that makes the learning so valuable. Can you speak to the to that return on investment that people who take the course get?
So if we look at the return on investment purely from economics, so let's, for argument's sake, say that the course, this is just for easy math, that the course is $2,500 to take the full course. It in fact is for Ontario producers is, I think, $2,240. But for the purposes of today's discussion, $2,500. A producer who takes the course, if we focus just on lamb mortality, if they save 10 lambs, they paid for the course. And that, is that 10 lambs in a year? Is that 10 lambs over the next 3 years? 10 lambs over the next 10 years? It's literally that simple. So that's one return on investment. Others are looking at, I'm going to use nutrition as an example, doing a better job, understanding nutrition enough that you do a better job of feeding management through feeding balanced rations, reducing feed waste, add a couple more in there. You have savings there as well, not just cost savings, but you have improved production because you're doing a better job of your overall flock feed management. Mm-hmm. And we could go on, right? But I think those two are key to looking at return on investment.
Anita, I'm wondering if it might be useful for our audience if you could share some particular success stories or examples of farmers who have taken the course and seen significant improvements in their operations.
I'm going to say, to be honest with you, that's a tough one for me to answer. Reason being is there's only a handful of each class that actively stays connected to me. And, other than that, I may know of people's successes through other sheep producers that are out there. But a number of them have come back and said to me that they have found the course so invaluable for a number of reasons. A couple of examples I'm going to give you. One was a student from the 2020 course. So the 2020 course was unique in that we had initially planned it to start in person. Like we're basically going to follow the same model as we've used in the past. COVID hit in the spring of 2020, and it's like, okay, we can't hold this in person. We still have producers, sheep farmers that want to take the course. What do we do? So we approached those that had applied to the course and said, would you be willing to experiment with us in hosting, the course being offered online? Of course, a lot of them did. The beauty of it was that they no longer had to travel and the cost of all. So I'm tracking a little bit, but I think it's important. One of those students, I will name the region she's from. She is from up in the New Liskeard area, the Temiskaming Shores area. And in our very first module, particularly because it was online, we asked producers to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about what they're doing and what they want to get out of the course and what their medium to long-term goals are. And they all gave a little presentation. And her goal was to, just like a lot of them, expand, grow to, like, she didn't have desires to be a full-time farmer, but she wanted to have 150, 200 sheep. She took the course, and halfway through, she decided that she now knew enough that she realized that was a wrong move for her. She shouldn't and didn't want to expand the flock to that size. So she finished the course, but her goals changed because of taking the course and gaining that knowledge. And she stayed at 20 to 25 ewes and focused on what she'd been doing up until then, rather than, throwing that all out and going in a totally different direction. So that's one. Looking at some of our producers who, again, took the course to expand, or because they were expanding their flock. I'm hesitant to name producers because I really don't want to put focus on them that I haven't asked them about and I've gotten permission for. But one of those that took the course, they were already close to 1,000 ewes. Their facilities were on a rented farm. After taking the course, they realized that, and for a bunch of other reasons as well, but they made the decision to move the facilities to their home farm and have everything on their own property. And so they built a new barn, brought the sheep flock home, and the barn that they were renting on the rented property has since to different purposes. So yeah, I mean, that's, you can hear the hesitation in my voice, I'm sure. But as I say, without asking individual producers to talk about them and highlight their successes, I think I'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. That's entirely fair. I'm sure those producers appreciate your discretion in that matter.
So, Anita, what specific skills and knowledge will participants gain from the Master Shepherd's course when they're all done?
So, to me, there's two aspects. Well, there's actually more than two aspects, but the two aspects I'm going to talk about One is the grounding, I call it, in the knowledge that any one of us needs to know if we're deciding to go into, in this instance, sheep farming. So we look at, as I said earlier, nutrition, reproduction, flock health, lambing and lamb rearing, and the fencing, parasites, predators, infrastructure, the list, genetics, of course, the list goes on and on, right? So there's the grounding of that knowledge in those various components. On top of that, the skills that we try to instill in producers are primarily, I'm going to call them planning skills. One of the outcomes of this course, and students are told this up front, that they must develop a business plan during the course. And so each module, there's always some aspects that should go towards them building their business plan. And those could be, what I call homework assignments, whatever. And, the ones that diligently do them, when it comes to the end of the course and they're asked to present their business plan to the rest of the course, are, they're much better prepared and further along in their business planning than the ones that maybe don't do those assignments as asked and as required. So they come out with a clear understanding of the I'm going to say the steps in developing a business plan. And, the reality is none of us like doing that, but it is a good exercise to go through for two reasons. One is you've done it. Two, banks are asking for it if you're going to borrow money. And three, it helps you critically analyze things that you think are your goals, because we have them as thoughts in our head. We haven't verbalized them. We haven't written them down, and we haven't, teased out the next steps in the steps needed to get to those goals. And so, as I say, sometimes what a producer tells us at the beginning of the course as to what their goals are, by the time the 18 months are over and they're presenting that business plan, it has morphed and changed because of what they've learned and what they've thought about and what they've realized as they've gone through the various modules in the course.
Amazing. Thanks, Anita. So how's the course structured? What can participants expect in terms of timeline and commitment in course content?
Yeah, sure. So as I mentioned earlier, COVID forced us to offer the course online. That did two things. It reduced the cost of the course, because there is a fairly significant cost in, renting a meeting room, cost of meals and breaks. So the course now is roughly half of what it was in 2018. Time commitment, each module is 8 sessions long, and each one of those sessions is a commitment of coming on at 7:30 in the evening till 9:15, and we do that twice a week, so Tuesdays and Thursday evenings. And each module is back to back. So, for example, we start in September. We run through till just before Christmas. We take a break over the holidays, so there's no courses over Christmas and New Year's. Come back in early January through till sometime in either late April or May. I don't have my schedule in front of me, and then we break for the summer, come back in September, finish up in February. So if we do 8 times, 1.75 hours, I should say 1.75 hours, times 12 modules, plus their homework and writing their business plan. Time commitment is actually pretty equivalent to a full-time university course.
Good to know.
Mm-hmm. Anita, in your opinion, who should take this course?
Who should take this course? To me, anyone who wants to do better at their sheep management. And their goals may not necessarily be to reduce their overall costs or improve their profitability, just doing a better job or understanding the background that's required, that background knowledge to do as good a job as we can raising livestock, sheep in this particular instance. We target producers who have been in sheep for 3 years or more and whose goal is to expand. We don't limit it to those people, however. If you have a good grounding in livestock agriculture from, your previous life, your previous experience, you let us know that, and we do make exceptions in terms of the 3 years in sheep. We've broadened it out to, be 3 years in livestock production.
Excellent. So, Anita, you've talked about some of the networking opportunities. Can you talk about some of the partnerships or collaborations that have been integral to the development and the success of the course?
For sure. So partnerships, we rely quite heavily on OMAFRA's extension folks to be presenters. We also rely quite heavily on some of, I'm going to call them our service providers. So folks that are out there in the industry, be they ruminant nutritionist or a veterinarian, we rely on those folks to come and share their expertise and their knowledge with the students. And I should also mention the academia, particularly, of course, University of Guelph, both OVC and OAC. We also, in the past offering of the course, so that would be the 2022 course, Scotiabank partnered with Ontario Sheep to host and offer that course. So that partnership continues through, help me out here, Aaron, I believe it's till the end of 24 or the spring of 25 with Scotiabank. Yep. Yeah, so I mean, we can't do, obviously OSF can't do this course on their own. We rely quite heavily on those folks to be our expert guests, I'm going to say. And to be honest, there's times when I've reached out to people I know down at Michigan State or other areas in the U.S. That have that experience and that knowledge, that background in extension, and use them as our presenters as well. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention this other particular group, and that is our Ontario sheep farmers, our members. Pretty much every module, we have at least one sheep farmer present to the group. And we also rely on our members to be hosts for the farm tour. So that 2-day farm tour, we will visit between 10 and 12 farms. The 2-day in-person business planning module, we also visit 2 farms. So for argument's sake, let's say that we have 14 farms that we have visited. Every one of those makes our course successful because they do highlight and they do showcase the things that we're trying to teach and reinforce in the overall course. So certainly can't forget that partnership and collaboration with OSF members.
Fantastic.
Now, Anita, looking forward, what are your goals for the future of the Master Shepherd's course, and how do you plan on continuing to enhance the program?
I'm gonna do the enhancement bit first, Jordan. Every time the course is offered, we have a window of time from February till the following September where we review the content of the previous course, tweak it, add to it based on, new information, new knowledge, new happenings in the industry. There are also times when, we may very well say we need to add an extra module into this course because of event X, Y, or Z. So the course is constantly being reviewed and updated. In terms of the goals of the course, I guess I'd like to see it, and I think we're almost there. I'd like to see it as a permanent fixture at OSF, that it's when I say constantly offered, right now, the course is offered as I'm going to say a standalone. And then, before the next course is offered, we request and get board approval to run the course again. I'd love to see it that, it's a course or program that is offered continuously. Yes, perhaps a break in between like we have right now, but it is a fixture in the sheep industry in terms of, the go-to for gaining that knowledge and expertise that our producers do need to not necessarily to be successful, because lots of them haven't taken the course and are successful. But I believe that the ones who take the course at least have the knowledge to avoid some of the expensive mistakes that we all make when we're learning as we go. So that I guess that would be my goal for the future of the sheep course, that it becomes a permanent fixture.
Amazing. That's a great goal. I agree with that goal. So just before we let you go, Anita, where could people find out more if they're interested in taking the course?
Excellent question, Erin. So as the coordinator, you can contact me directly 2 ways. One, my cell number, which I am not going to give online. Secondly, by email, and that is mastershepherd@ontariosheep.org. And that email will get to me. Or you can call the office at 519-836-0043 and zero out to the front office staff. And they can also share information about the course with you. And lastly, the Master Shepherd's course has its own web page on the Ontario Sheep website. And that has all of the course details, the course schedule, as well as the application form to download, fill in, send it to me. And right now we are accepting applications for full-time students. I should end with, because we didn't talk a lot about this, is that you don't have to sign up for the full course to benefit from it. You can take individual modules, the ones that you think are important to you, and skip ones that aren't. And so there is the option of signing up individually for those modules as well. And that link to the registration is on that website as well, on that webpage as well.
Perfect. And if anyone's looking at our website, it's currently organized under the programs tab at ontariosheep.org. Yeah. Well, yeah. Anita, thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, Jordan and Erin. Awesome.
And thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Join us next Wednesday for our interview with Jackie Fraser about her involvement with the Toronto Food Terminal. Hey, Jordan, what's going on at OSF?
Do you have a story about how the risk management program has benefited your farming operation? We'd like to hear from you. Your story could help us bolster support and encourage future investment into the program. If you're interested in supporting these efforts, please reach out to me directly at jsloggett, that's JSLOGGETT @ontariosheep.org. We're interested in understanding and profiling why producers enroll in the program, the value it brings, and the investments that you've been able to make because of it, such as environmental considerations, expansion, technology and innovation, or retaining the farm within the family. Please share your RMP success story with us. If you enjoyed our podcast, please subscribe through your podcast app to receive alerts for future episodes, and please consider sharing this podcast with your friends.
For more Ontario Sheep Farmers content, follow us on social media at Ontario Sheep Farmers on Instagram and Facebook, and at Ontario Sheep on X, and visit our website at ontariosheep.org.